Nobody even sees her," Emily whispered under her breath, the words barely audible over the clinking glasses and soft classical music filling the grand hall of the Whitman estate. She had been working there for less than a month, and already she noticed how invisible Claire was, sitting alone near the floor-to-ceiling windows, a delicate figure in a pale blue dress, her fingers trembling slightly as she adjusted her napkin, trying in vain to catch someone's eye. The guests, dressed in shimmering gowns and tailored suits, laughed and leaned in toward one another, exchanging polite gossip and subtle boasts about stock market gains, philanthropy, and vacation homes in the Hamptons. Emily's heart tightened. It was a scene she had seen before in her volunteer work, only magnified 100-fold in opulence and size. She adjusted the silver tray in her hands, trying to remain unseen, yet her eyes kept returning to Claire, who seemed to shrink further into the plush velvet chair with each passing moment. She could feel the weight of isolation pressing down on the girl, a loneliness so sharp that even the crystal chandeliers couldn't soften it. Emily remembered learning American Sign Language in high school, mostly as a curiosity, but now it felt like a gift she had been saving for this exact moment. Taking a deep breath, she stepped lightly across the marble floor, careful not to draw attention to herself. The chatter and laughter became a background hum, a soundtrack to the invisible walls enclosing Claire. "Hi," Emily signed, her hands trembling just slightly, yet with purpose. Claire's eyes flicked up, startled at first, then widened as recognition dawned. A small, uncertain smile appeared, and Emily felt a surge of warmth, a bridge forming between two worlds. The room seemed to blur, the glittering guests fading to the edges of her vision as she focused entirely on the subtle dance of Claire's fingers, the way her lips curved with each motion, and the gentle sparkle in her blue eyes. The connection was electric but tender, quiet yet impossible to ignore. Emily crouched slightly to meet her at eye level, continuing the conversation silently, feeling the weight of understanding, empathy, and shared humanity settle over both of them. Somewhere across the room, a guest glanced in Claire's direction, noticing for the first time the grace and intelligence in her expression, and Emily felt a flicker of hope that the world might finally pause long enough to see what had been there all along. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe in dignity and justice, hit like and subscribe. These stories spark change. And we're glad you're here. Now, back to Emily, who slowly smiled as Claire signed back a question, her movements fluid and confident, a rhythm forming that made Emily's chest tighten with anticipation and quiet joy. Every gesture, every glance, was a small rebellion against invisibility, a claim that even in a world defined by wealth and appearances, human connection could not be ignored, and that the smallest act of courage could illuminate the heart of a gilded palace. Emily guided Claire toward a quieter corner of the room, away from the golden chandeliers and the gentle hum of polite conversation, her hands moving confidently in American Sign Language while Claire watched with wide, curious eyes. The room felt simultaneously vast and small, as if the space between them had shrunk to the distance of a single heartbeat. Claire hesitated for a moment, then began to respond, her fingers tracing the signs with a tentative grace that made Emily smile softly. It was as though an invisible wall had lifted, revealing a language that belonged solely to them, a private world amid the clinking of glasses and distant laughter. Emily noticed the subtle expressions on Claire's face, the way her eyes sparkled when she signed a word correctly, and she felt a profound sense of connection, an understanding that needed no voice to be heard. Around them, the guests continued their conversations, oblivious to the small miracle unfolding in their midst, yet Emily could feel the shift in the energy of the space, a quiet ripple that perhaps only she could sense. She guided Claire through a few playful gestures, laughing silently when Claire mirrored her movements with surprising precision, a moment of pure joy that seemed to linger like the warm glow of the chandeliers above. Emily reflected on the years of her own life, the moments when she had been overlooked or dismissed, and she understood now how deeply a single act of attention could change everything. Claire's smile grew broader, and she signed a question about the music playing, pointing to the grand piano in the corner, where a pianist's fingers danced across the keys with practiced elegance. Emily nodded and signed back an answer, and together they created a small symphony of silent communication, a duet of gestures and expressions that transcended the opulence surrounding them. For a fleeting instant, Emily imagined the whispers of awe and curiosity from anyone who might have noticed, but she was not seeking recognition. The satisfaction came from the shared understanding, the realization that they had found each other in a place designed to make Claire feel invisible. A waiter passed by, balancing a tray of sparkling water and hors d'oeuvres, and Emily instinctively stepped aside, careful not to break the rhythm of their silent dialogue. She could feel the subtle warmth radiating from Claire, a reassurance that the world could indeed be gentle, even when it seemed otherwise. Emily continued to explore small gestures, teaching Claire new signs, correcting with patience, celebrating each successful motion with encouraging smiles. The sunlight streaming through the tall windows shifted slightly as the afternoon waned, casting long shadows across the marble floors, yet Emily and Claire remained in their bubble, a sanctuary of attention and care amidst the grand spectacle. Emily thought about the value of small moments, the weight of recognition, and how often it went unspoken, unnoticed. Each word signed, each glance returned, reinforced a bond that required neither wealth nor status to validate. In the quiet corners of the mansion, where luxury often masked loneliness, Emily had discovered a profound truth. Empathy could illuminate even the grandest halls, and the simplest acts of understanding could resonate louder than any display of opulence. Claire laughed softly, signing a question about the upcoming event schedule, and Emily replied, fingers moving fluidly as if dancing in time with a melody only they could hear. For Emily, this was more than a chance to teach or guide. It was an opportunity to affirm Claire's presence, her voice without sound, her existence without apology. And in that affirmation, Emily felt a deep, resonant joy that no glittering chandelier or murmured compliment from the elite could ever replicate. The soft hum of conversation continued around them, yet Emily and Claire remained in their own world, communicating effortlessly through gestures that spoke volumes. Emily noticed the way Claire's eyes lit up when she described a small story about her dog at home, the excitement evident in every precise motion of her fingers. Each sign was like a brushstroke on a canvas, painting emotions that words alone could never capture, and Emily felt a deep satisfaction in witnessing Claire come alive in this way. As the sunlight shifted across the polished marble floors, warming the edges of the room, Emily guided Claire through more complex signs, her hands moving with patience and clarity, ensuring that Claire understood each subtle nuance. There was a rhythm to their interaction, a silent music that pulsed in the space between them, connecting their hearts and minds. For a moment, Emily allowed herself to simply watch, appreciating the courage it took for Claire to engage so openly in a space that had previously felt so isolating. The other guests, still engaged in polite chatter and glances across the room, remained unaware of the small revolution occurring at the corner near the windows. Emily realized that it was not the grandeur of the mansion or the wealth of the attendees that mattered in this moment. It was the simple act of being seen and heard, the profound impact of acknowledgment and care. Claire signed a question about the piano music continuing in the background, and Emily responded with a flourish of her fingers, demonstrating the sign for melody and rhythm, which made Claire laugh silently, her expression radiant with delight. The two shared a moment of genuine connection, their shared smiles reflecting a bridge of understanding that needed no spoken words. Emily felt a quiet pride, not in herself, but in the way Claire's confidence began to grow, each small sign and gesture a testament to resilience and human connection. As the afternoon waned and shadows lengthened across the room, Emily and Claire remained engrossed in their silent dialogue, a sanctuary amid the formalities and the wealth surrounding them. Emily knew that this bond, fragile yet strong, would leave a lasting impression far beyond the walls of the Whitman estate, demonstrating that empathy, attention, and a willingness to engage could transform even the most seemingly distant hearts. Emily and Claire continued their quiet conversation, moving with ease and confidence in the corner of the Whitman estate, the sunlight now softened by the approaching evening. The chandeliers glimmered faintly, reflecting off the polished marble floors and casting delicate patterns across the high ceilings, yet none of that splendor could match the light in Claire's eyes as she signed, expressing thoughts that had long remained unspoken. Emily guided her through new signs, carefully showing subtle nuances that made Claire's expressions blossom with clarity and emotion. Each motion of their fingers seemed to carry a depth of meaning, a language beyond sound that resonated with shared understanding and trust. Around them, the guests continued to mingle, discussing investments, charity initiatives, and the latest social gatherings, but Emily hardly noticed. The world had narrowed to the rhythm of Claire's hands and the soft pressure of connection that filled the quiet space between them. Claire laughed softly at a humorous gesture Emily made, a gentle movement that mirrored one of Claire's own earlier signs, and the soundless laughter created a bond that seemed to solidify with every passing moment. Emily's mind wandered briefly, thinking about how often people overlooked others because they were different, because they did not conform to expectations of wealth, status, or conventional abilities, and she felt a sense of purpose swelling within her, knowing that her attention and care were making a difference right here, right now. They explored more intricate phrases, with Emily demonstrating how to convey emotions like excitement, curiosity, and empathy, and Claire responded with a precision that made Emily's heart swell with quiet pride. Every interaction felt alive, a dance of subtle movements that expressed the richness of human emotion without a single word spoken aloud. The sun dipped lower, bathing the room in a golden glow that mingled with the warmth of their growing connection, and Emily realized that in this sanctuary of understanding, the most profound statements were made silently, in gestures and expressions that revealed the strength, intelligence, and creativity of Claire's spirit. A small cluster of guests finally glanced toward their corner, drawn not by any intention to observe but by a subtle shift in energy. The way the atmosphere seemed brighter, more open, more genuine than the rest of the formal gathering. Emily did not seek attention, she simply continued to guide and support Claire, noting the rapid transformation in her confidence and comfort, the way she held herself with dignity and joy despite the initial invisibility imposed upon her by the grand setting. As they practiced, Emily realized that the true wealth of the room was not measured by the sparkling crystal or the imported wines, but by the courage, empathy, and human connection that could be shared between two people who chose to see and acknowledge each other. Claire's face lit with every new word she mastered, and Emily felt the quiet satisfaction of knowing that she had helped unlock a piece of a world that had once seemed inaccessible. The room, filled with laughter and polite conversation, faded to the background as the two of them shared this private moment, a vivid reminder that even amidst opulence, genuine understanding and empathy could flourish, bridging divides and illuminating hearts in ways that money and status could never achieve. Emily's hands moved with purpose and care, Claire's mirrored her movements, and together they created a silent symphony of connection, a testament to the power of attentiveness, patience, and the unwavering belief that everyone deserved to be seen, understood, and valued. As the evening deepened, the golden light of the setting sun cast long shadows across the Whitman estate, adding a warm, intimate glow to the corners of the grand hall where Emily and Claire remained engrossed in their conversation. The chandeliers above reflected soft patterns onto the polished marble floors, yet the most vivid brightness in the room was the spark of understanding and connection between the two girls. Emily introduced new concepts and words in American Sign Language, demonstrating carefully the shapes and motions of each sign, while Claire followed along with focus and determination, her fingers moving with increasing confidence and fluidity. Every gesture was a silent revelation, a small victory over the invisibility that had surrounded Claire since the beginning of the event. Around them, guests continued to socialize, unaware of the private world that had formed just steps away from the glittering crowd, and yet a subtle shift in energy seemed to emanate from the corner where Emily and Claire communicated, a quiet resonance that could be felt if one paused long enough to notice. Claire signed a question about the paintings adorning the walls, pointing toward the rich canvases depicting landscapes and family portraits, and Emily responded with animated signs that conveyed descriptions of colors, textures, and emotions evoked by the art, eliciting a delighted expression from Claire. The room, filled with the sounds of polite chatter, clinking glasses, and soft footsteps on marble, faded from their attention entirely, leaving only the rhythm of their hands and the warmth of shared understanding. Emily reflected on how often people went unseen, their talents, feelings, and intelligence overlooked simply because they did not fit the expected mold, and she felt a deep satisfaction in providing Claire with acknowledgment and attention that illuminated her presence in the grand space. Claire responded with a complex sequence of signs, demonstrating a growing mastery and a willingness to share her thoughts freely, and Emily could not help but smile at the brightness and originality in Claire's gestures. They explored ideas about music, favorite books, and playful stories, their dialogue a rich tapestry of silent expression, laughter, and empathy. The air around them seemed lighter, the tension of isolation lifting with every successful sign exchanged, and Emily noticed the subtle glances from a few nearby guests who seemed intrigued by the visible joy radiating from Claire, though none could yet fully understand the language they shared. Emily guided Claire to form complete sentences, helping her convey nuanced feelings and abstract thoughts, and the satisfaction of seeing Claire's confidence bloom filled her with quiet pride. The interplay of hands, faces, and expressions became a language of its own, an intricate dance of human connection that needed no voice to resonate deeply. As the twilight settled and shadows lengthened across the hall, Emily realized that the most profound impact of their interaction was not the recognition of others, but the affirmation of Claire's value and presence, a truth as radiant and enduring as the chandeliers above. The silent dialogue between them continued seamlessly, a testament to the transformative power of patience, empathy, and the simple but extraordinary act of truly seeing another person, reinforcing the understanding that even in a world defined by wealth and appearances, human connection and acknowledgment could create lasting light and hope. The evening continued to unfold, the golden light from the setting sun blending seamlessly with the soft glow of chandeliers above, casting a serene warmth across the marble floors of the Whitman estate. Emily guided Claire to a slightly quieter area near a tall window, where the fading light created a calm, intimate atmosphere perfect for their continued conversation in American Sign Language. Claire's confidence had grown noticeably since the beginning of their interaction, and Emily observed with quiet admiration the way she formed her signs with precision, each movement carrying emotion and thought that words could hardly capture. The surrounding guests moved through the room, their laughter and chatter forming a soft background hum that seemed distant, as if the space around Emily and Claire had become a world of its own. Emily demonstrated a series of new signs, carefully illustrating the subtleties of each, while Claire responded with attentive focus, her eyes bright and alert, her hands moving with increasing fluidity and assurance. Every sign was a small victory, a quiet rebellion against the invisibility that had surrounded her throughout the event, and Emily felt a profound satisfaction in witnessing Claire blossom with self-assurance and joy. Claire signed a question about the arrangement of flowers on a nearby table, and Emily responded with animated gestures that described their colors, shapes, and the delicate way the light fell across each petal, prompting Claire to smile and nod in understanding, the silent exchange deepening their connection. Emily reflected on how transformative simple recognition could be, how the act of truly seeing another person, of investing attention and care, could unlock confidence and illuminate a presence that had been overlooked. The room around them continued in its elegant rhythm, the polished floors reflecting the subtle movements of chandeliers, the soft clinking of glasses marking time in the background, yet all of that paled in comparison to the vivid energy between Emily and Claire. They explored more abstract concepts, conveying ideas about dreams, hopes, and small personal triumphs through the language of signs, and Emily marveled at Claire's growing ability to express complex thoughts with clarity and grace. Each new sign was a building block, strengthening a bridge of understanding and empathy, a testament to the resilience and intelligence that had long been hidden beneath the assumptions of others. As the twilight deepened, a few guests began to glance toward them, noticing the brightness in Claire's demeanor, the warmth of interaction, and the evident bond between the two girls, though none could yet grasp the richness of their silent dialogue. Emily continued to encourage and support Claire, her own movements patient and precise, ensuring that each sign conveyed both meaning and encouragement, reinforcing a sense of worth and dignity that had too often been denied. The shadows lengthened across the grand hall, and the soft evening light mingled with the glow from chandeliers to frame a scene of quiet triumph and human connection, a gentle reminder that empathy, attention, and courage to engage could transform isolation into joy, invisibility into recognition, and moments of kindness into lasting impact. Claire's eyes shone with understanding and delight as she signed a playful question about a detail Emily had noticed earlier, and Emily responded with a matching gesture, their hands moving in synchrony, creating a small world of expression and affirmation that resonated far beyond the grand space of the room. The soft glow of the chandeliers mingled with the fading sunlight, creating a warm, golden hue across the grand hall, yet Emily's focus remained entirely on Claire, who now signed with growing confidence and clarity. Each gesture carried intention, each movement a precise reflection of thought, and Emily could see the spark of understanding and joy in Claire's eyes. They moved closer to a display of family portraits along one wall, where the history of the Whitman estate was captured in oil and canvas, and Emily described each piece through a careful sequence of signs, noting details of color, expression, and story behind the figures. Claire responded eagerly, her fingers dancing with the same curiosity and attention that had been hidden at the start of the evening, and Emily felt a profound sense of fulfillment in witnessing this transformation. Around them, the murmurs of the other guests continued, the soft clinking of glasses punctuating the conversation, but it all became background to the private world Emily and Claire had created. They laughed silently together over a small gesture Emily had improvised, a playful exchange that drew a tiny, unnoticed smile from a passing guest, though no one understood the depth of their interaction. Emily noticed the way Claire's posture had changed, the shoulders no longer tense, the gaze lifted with a quiet assurance that had not been present earlier, a testament to the power of being truly seen and engaged with. She guided Claire through more complex expressions, helping her articulate thoughts about dreams and personal experiences, and each success brought a new radiance to Claire's face, a silent affirmation of capability and self-worth. The room, though large and filled with the trappings of wealth, had shrunk in significance for them, replaced by the richness of human connection and understanding that required no voice to be heard. Emily reflected on the subtle shifts occurring even among nearby guests, a few glances filled with curiosity and admiration, sensing that something meaningful was taking place, though unable to fully comprehend the silent language they shared. Claire's laughter, quiet and pure, echoed in Emily's memory, a reminder that joy could emerge from recognition and empathy, and that even in spaces dominated by status and appearances, kindness and attention could carve out moments of profound impact. They continued to move through the hall, hands signing fluently, expressions bright and engaging, forming sentences that conveyed thought, emotion, and playfulness with elegance and precision. As twilight deepened and shadows stretched across the marble floors, Emily recognized the lasting significance of their interaction, the bridge they had built through patience, care, and understanding, demonstrating that even the smallest acts of connection could transform isolation into confidence and invisibility into recognition. Claire's hands moved with increasing fluidity, her smile widening, and Emily felt the quiet joy of a shared achievement, a testament to the power of empathy, attentiveness, and the courage to reach out, illuminating the possibility that every person, regardless of circumstance or perception, could shine when truly seen and valued. As the evening light dimmed further, Emily and Claire remained near the tall window, their hands moving with purpose and grace, forming words and sentences that conveyed thoughts and emotions with clarity and depth. The glow from the chandeliers mingled with the soft twilight, casting gentle reflections on the marble floors, yet the most luminous presence in the room was the bond forming between the two girls. Claire's confidence had blossomed, her fingers tracing signs fluidly, each one a declaration of her presence and intelligence, a sharp contrast to the isolation she had experienced earlier. Emily guided her through more expressive gestures, showing subtle variations that allowed Claire to convey humor, curiosity, and wonder, and Claire responded eagerly, her eyes bright with engagement and joy. Around them, the party continued, a gentle hum of conversation, laughter, and the clinking of glasses, but it felt distant, almost irrelevant compared to the silent world Emily and Claire had created. Each successful exchange strengthened their connection, the rhythm of their hands like a conversation carried by energy and attention rather than sound, a bridge over the earlier neglect Claire had faced. Emily marveled at the transformation, how quickly a sense of inclusion, recognition, and encouragement could illuminate a personality that had been overlooked in the glittering crowd. Claire signed a question about the grand piano in the corner, pointing to the musician whose fingers moved skillfully across the keys, and Emily replied, illustrating the music through flowing gestures and expressive motions, evoking a smile and a soft laugh from Claire. Their interaction, playful yet profound, became a silent testament to the power of human attention, patience, and empathy, proving that true connection could emerge even in spaces defined by wealth, status, and appearances. Guests passing nearby began to notice the change in Claire's demeanor, the brightness in her eyes, the fluidity of her expressions, though they did not yet comprehend the full depth of the dialogue unfolding silently between the two girls. Emily continued to guide and support, encouraging subtle nuances and celebrating Claire's growing mastery, fostering an environment where her abilities and spirit could shine unhindered. Shadows lengthened across the room as the last rays of sunlight waned, mingling with the chandelier glow to frame a scene of quiet triumph and human warmth, a private victory that radiated without fanfare. Emily realized that the simplest acts of recognition and care could transform loneliness into confidence, invisibility into presence, and that the power of empathy and attentive engagement could leave a lasting impression far beyond the walls of the grand estate. Claire's smile, luminous and genuine, reflected the joy of being understood and valued, and Emily felt the deep satisfaction of witnessing a transformation that was entirely silent yet profoundly visible, a reminder that the human heart responds most deeply to attention, kindness, and connection. As the night settled over the Whitman estate, the chandeliers glimmered softly, casting gentle reflections on the polished marble floors, while Emily and Claire lingered in their corner near the tall windows, immersed in the quiet magic of their silent conversation. The glow of the room mingled with the darkness outside, creating a private cocoon where the two girls could explore ideas, stories, and emotions through the fluid language of American Sign Language. Claire's confidence had blossomed fully, her fingers moving with assurance, her eyes bright with engagement, and Emily felt a deep sense of fulfillment witnessing the transformation. Each sign they exchanged carried meaning and nuance, conveying thoughts that words might have struggled to capture, and the rhythm of their hands formed a dialogue that was at once playful, expressive, and profound. Guests continued their elegant mingling, unaware of the private world of connection being forged nearby, yet Emily could sense the subtle shifts in awareness among those who glanced toward the corner and noticed the radiant presence of Claire. Emily guided Claire through more complex expressions, showing ways to convey humor, curiosity, and compassion, and Claire responded with a natural ease that illuminated the depth of her understanding. The room felt alive, not with the chatter of wealth and status, but with the unspoken triumph of visibility, acknowledgment, and shared humanity. Emily thought about the power of simple acts, how a gesture, a patient explanation, and attention could create ripples of confidence and joy that reached far beyond the immediate moment. Claire's laughter, soft and expressive, filled the air in a way that was both quiet and impossible to ignore, a testament to the strength and intelligence that had been hidden beneath layers of neglect. Emily continued to provide encouragement and support, celebrating every small success, guiding Claire in subtle variations of signs that allowed her to express increasingly abstract thoughts and emotions. The interplay of their hands, expressions, and shared smiles created a private symphony of communication, a bond strengthened by patience, care, and empathy. Shadows stretched across the room as the last traces of sunlight disappeared, leaving only the warm chandelier glow to frame their interaction, and Emily felt the profound satisfaction that came from knowing she had helped someone claim their presence, voice, and value in a space that had once rendered them invisible. Claire signed a playful question about a memory she wished to share, and Emily responded with mirrored gestures, laughter and light filling their eyes, the silent dialogue a reminder that true recognition and understanding could transform isolation into connection, uncertainty into confidence, and invisibility into a visible, celebrated presence. As the evening drew to a close, Emily realized that this bond, created without words but with attention and empathy, would leave a lasting impression far beyond the glittering walls of the mansion, demonstrating the enduring power of human connection and the profound impact of seeing and valuing another person fully.